3, 2, 1.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is The Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter, here, and I have friends here. Yay! So everyone here's actually been on a podcast before, so I'm just going to go down the line here. I've got...
Hello, my name's Aaron. I've been on a couple podcasts before.
You were on Aladdin, right?
Yes, I was on Aladdin.
Yeah, that's what...
And Endgame.
That's right, yeah.
The 3-hour-long review.
In-game, we went like 2 hours. I actually listened to that like a month ago. I was like, oh my god, this review, we broke down so much.
Yes.
And I still was like, oh, I didn't bring that up. And of course, one of our horror experts, Allie. Hi.
I was on Halloween and also Endgame and Aladdin.
And Captain Marvel. And you, Chrissy here helped out on our reviews for our favorite, The Love Witch. Which was fucking horrible.
It was awful. You remember I watched that last year and you were like, you came home halfway through and were like, what the fuck are you watching?
Yeah, it's such a bad movie.
She was basically watching 70s porn. So.
Yeah.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah, right? Like, it was a very weird movie. But of course, Addams Family and Hocus Pocus, which are a lot better movies that reviewed. So, yeah, listen to those if you haven't already. But, so... we were talking about this off mic. We're reviewing or I'm calling it Dr. Parentheses Strange Sleep. Dr. Strange is not in this, unfortunately. But Allie and Chrissy, you're both two of the biggest horror people that I know, period. As I've talked about on the podcast, Hunter hates being scared, so when a scary movie does come out, I'll go, if it has ghosts, I'm not super keen on seeing it.
Ghosts do it for you? That's the thing?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm black. What do you want from me? Ghosts are like the most terrifying thing. You know, the whole white sheet, but...
I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
But I was really curious to see this because, and Allie and I have talked about it, you liked it, Chapter 2. I know you weren't crazy about it, though, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, I could go on and on about my problems with it, Chapter 2, but for the first hour, I was super on board because it's just like the book. It's my favorite book of all time. And then I feel like he tried to make it too sentimental. He changed some things from the book that, like, didn't work, and then the ending was about 30 minutes longer than it should have been.
Okay.
It dragged.
Yeah.
Chrissy, kind of same thoughts on that? Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, going into this and just seeing Terminator Dark Fate, which I will not go off on a huge rant on. I did that in our review.
You liked it that much, huh?
Yeah, it'll be on my top 10 worst stuff. Like, I hated that movie. I just... The only joy I got is that the T-800... That's a spoiler, so I can't really say it to you. He's in...
Just say it.
Okay, fine. Okay. So, the T-800 basically is retired and has a family.
You gotta do that sometimes. You gotta grow up.
The explanation they give. But what's really funny is it looks like the nanny that broke up his marriage, and it made me laugh. Like, that's the most entertainment.
Was his real son in it? The one
that looks just like him.
It's like he's like a Hispanic Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, like he does actually.
He does.
Yeah, Arnaldo. So But watching that movie, I remember I just went, I don't know if I want sequels to stuff I enjoy anymore. I didn't rewatch The Shining before I saw this because I was really kind of worried about comparing it too much to The Shining. So I'm like, I need to give it its own chance to breathe. So I went back and I watched some of it this morning. And I gotta say, it actually makes me love the movie more. And I'm using the term love for a reason, because I went in this very concerned, because Stephen King has an ability to be kind of like Alan Moore, whenever Hollywood adapts his shit, he's like, God damn it, stop doing that, you know? And to be fair, he has some recourse to not like some of his shit that's been adapted.
He's made some terrible movies. He knows what a bad movie is.
Yeah, he
directed one of the worst ones.
Yep.
Yeah, which one?
Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, yeah, I did forget about that. Yeah.
He was just so high on coke that he was.
Have really cut fast cars.
That'll do it though. I mean, I've never tried coke, but I'm sure that would make you just be. Maybe it's what Michael Bay's always on. Maybe that's why his movies are always
Explosions, guys. That's what it is.
But I do think too that Ewan McGregor. I think people forget that he's not swinging a lightsaber. And he's a really great actor. The Island excluded from that, but because I fucking hate The Island. But when I heard Ewan McGregor is going to be in this, I went, oh, okay, like this could be good. And I know that, again, speaking not as a horror guy, but I know the guy behind the camera director, Mike
Flanagan.
Thank you. I know that in the horror community, he's kind of gone the almost kind of the Sam Raimi route. Like he did a lot of like indie horror, and has slowly kind of built up his pedigree and his sachet, as it were.
Is it his second Stephen King movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he did the Netflix one.
He did Gerald's Game, which is really good.
Okay, and that had what's her name? Gugino. Yeah, that had her in it. So I'm always happy to see people who are like on a smaller scale build their way up and get to this level. Jordan Peele, obviously being one of the more prominent examples right now. He's doing kind of well for himself.
He's doing things.
Yeah,
he's out there.
Yeah, here and there. But my genuine admiration that I left for with this film, I was expecting nothing. Like I said, Terminator kind of broke me in that sense. I was like, oh god, another sequel, something I enjoy. Fuck, they're probably gonna, find some way to fuck it up. And what I appreciate about this movie, it's not The Shining, because so many sequels are very much the same thing. Like we're gonna play it safe. This doesn't lean on the hotel like I thought it would. I was actually really surprised by that. I thought the hotel kind of be.
Honestly, the parts with the hotel were my least favorite parts of the whole movie.
Yeah. I don't hate those parts, but that was the part I was like, oh, all right. Like, yeah. I mean, you kind of need this, I guess, but you didn't need it.
I was like, it's like probably the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah, if anything. Christy, kind of your thoughts. Like, you saw you just rewatched The Shining, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
So,
and I hate The Shining.
Do you really?
Yes.
Really?
The movie. The book, I think, is so much better.
Please explain why you hate the movie. I'm genuinely curious.
How long is this podcast?
We can go for there's no time limit. Go, please go.
Well, no, just because they left so much out of the movie, and I mean the movie The Shining, I think, is also like 2.5 hours long. So it's plenty long for them to have gone in and done like the correct character development that it needed. And just take more time. There's just so much that they left out, and I feel like if you just watch The Shining and you have no idea what happens in the book, you have a completely different look on what the story really is.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that whenever because I watch The Shining, but I have to try and keep it separate because I'm a huge fan of the book. I have an overlook tattoo, but the character of Jack Torrance is so much more sympathetic in the book, and it's it's like a really good father and husband who is just is an alcoholic, and when he drinks he's a different person, but he's actually like a good person deep down. Trying. The hotel just exploits his bad parts and just makes him worse. Yeah. And so Jack Nicholson can't really play that. I love Jack Nicholson, but he only plays crazy angry father in that movie. Yes. And so that's why in Dr. Sleep, that's the only way they could go with the character.
Okay.
Whereas he has a much more cathartic thing with his dad in the book.
So I think that was probably the thing that I actually appreciated the most, because obviously The Shining obviously deals with the concept of having things kind of passed on to you, and that's the thing I probably like the most about this movie, is that it is a big giant, if you want to look for it, metaphor about things that can be inherited, good and bad, and how you deal with those things. And so the fact that Ewan McGregor gave so many layers to something where someone really could just came and like, oh, I'm doing a horror thriller or whatever, I could just phone this shit in. And I feel like he took it way more seriously than most people would, which I give him a lot of credit for. The other person I got a shout out to, and I always, when I see her and stuff, I kind of go, oh, that's all right, okay, I really like you. Rebecca Ferguson is fucking amazing in this.
She's great.
She was my Oh, and I don't want to start saying my favorite parts, but she was one of my favorite parts. She scared the shit out of me at multiple points. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't like you at all. You need to stop being...
I've never read the books, and so when Allie told me they're psychic vampires, I was like, all right.
I know.
Let's
It doesn't
get the
sound
fuck...
cool.
All right, Stephen King.
Yeah.
All right, bud.
Honestly, they made psychic vampires truly terrifying, and them cycling when they die was so creepy.
Yeah.
They did such a good job with that.
I will say, like, my point of recourse from vampires recently, because Twilight is unfortunately still fresh in my mind, or What We Do in the Shadows. There you go. There's
great.
Yeah, that's a way that's a way better one. But it was cool to see vampires be, like, scary again, because that's essentially what they are.
Yeah.
And they are not fucking around with this little girl. This little girl is kind of one-upping him pretty consistently, and you see how Rose is getting more and more pissed off, and that got me scared, because you're like, oh, she's not going to take it easy on you. And this is going to sound fucked up, but something about horror movies and just movies in general, I love when movies are just like, oh, you're a kid. Man, sucks you're so small and weak, because I'm not going to take it easy on you. I appreciate when they don't, like, shy away from that. When they kill this one kid who they pick up from a baseball game.
Oh, that part was... Yeah.
Oh, man. Like, how he's, like, screaming. He goes, are you going to hurt me? And she just goes like, oh, yes, we're going... I was like, fuck, okay.
I was like, how do you make a psychic vampire scary? Child murder.
Yeah, I mean, that'll do it, man. Yeah. I mean, like... Never mind. I had a joke.
Say it.
I was gonna say, whoa, was his last name Ramsey? And
Oh,
you pushed me. I was trying to move past it. I blame you. Too.
I have to leave. So you guys.
Yeah. Sadly, that's the worst thing will probably be said. But so, as far as the plot on this, Ewan of course plays Dan grown up. The thing that made me, like, hurt my heart about this is that he's fallen to the same habit as his dad. Like, he's very much an alcoholic. Like, he's doing some Leaving Las Vegas style drinking early on in the movie. And I don't know if I missed this first part or what happened, but there was a part I know when they flash back to him as a kid, and he's talking, and he's there with his mom, and they're watching the Looney Tunes cartoon, which made me really sad, because that short is about daddy issues. I'm like, oh fuck! I'm like, movie, damn! Like, we're 5 minutes in, like, easy. But I appreciate the fact the movie gives you that tone, and so it flashes forward to him, and he's just kind of going through it, man. Like, he's drinking, he just doesn't give a shit. And I like that, because if you had ghosts talking to you constantly and you could see that much, you'd probably want to numb it too. So that concept, you're like, yeah, I can see you. Like, there are times here where and I won't go in the huge thing about my belief on ghosts. I do think that if you have, fuck it, why not? If you believe in Jesus and you don't believe in ghosts, come on now. like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't believe in good, and that's where it stops. Like, if there's heaven, there has to be hell, vice versa, etc. So I appreciate the fact that the movie treated this so, quote, realistically, unquote, because if I could see ghosts, I'd be like, all right, I don't like any of this at all. I want this to go away. But it's something that you can't get rid of as far as the movie's kind of concerned. Kind of your thoughts on Ewan, guys? Because
he was great. He was amazing. I was reading an interview with him, and he said that they wanted to make the whole alcoholism thing like a smaller part of the movie.
Oh, really?
And then he was like, "No, I'm not going to do it unless we do the full story in the book." And I was like, "That's pretty cool."
I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's like, actually he read the script before he read the book, and went back and read the book afterwards. And I was like, "We got to have this in there."
Okay, that makes me. Oh yeah. That makes me like it more.
Yeah.
Actually. Now, Allie, you're the big Stephen King nerd, so I'll be completely honest. I didn't even know there was a sequel to Shining in book form. I was like, wait, there's a second book, and my friend was like, yeah, you did. I'm like, dude, I don't read. I'm sorry. Like, I had no fucking idea. I read it once. I was like, that was like fucking like. was like, God damn, this book keeps going. It's like,
I mean, Doctor Sleep is heftier than its predecessor, The
is
Shining.
it really? Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ, okay.
I mean, well, they also, like, cover, like, more time, I think, that they had to, like, smoosh in the movie, which is fine. Personally, I knew that he was cast when they first announced the movie, and I was like, okay, I'm on board for this. Like, he's a really good character actor. I think that he can bring a lot to Dan, and I think that he did a really good job, like, well, being funny, because they still made him be funny, but also, like, dealing with, like, the being tortured and, like, finding a way to be connected to your dad that's not through alcohol.
Yeah, which, how do I put this? That was uncomfortable, but in the best way, because that last scene he kind of gets with his dad, as it were, near the end. I know some people will have an issue with that. I love that the hotel's fucking with him that much. Like, hey, like you're just like him, and him with events in this movie where there's a point where he's about to take a drink and he's like, the ball's like shaking his hand, just little things like that, and he throws it against the wall and just starts crying. I went, oh dude, I just want to give you a hug, man. I'm like, I'm sorry that shit is just not working out like great right now. Chrissy, what did you think of handsome Ewan McGregor?
I'm glad he didn't have an accent in this movie.
He did not, yeah.
Beauty and the Beast kind of ruined him for me a little bit.
Oh, his French accent.
Oh my gosh, so bad. But I am really glad. I actually didn't know that he was one that kind of wanted like the whole drinking thing to be a bigger part of the movie.
Yeah.
And I did really appreciate that, like especially when he's at the AA meeting and he's going on his 8 years?
Yeah.
And he starts talking about how like that was kind of a goal for his dad that he never got to meet.
And that made me, oh god, that
was a great scene.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like if you've never read the books at all and you've just gone from The Shining to Doctor Sleep, you have such a bad perception of the dad, of Jack.
Yeah.
And so if you go into Doctor Sleep without, you know, reading the books or not having any background knowledge of the book at all, you're kind of going to that scene like, what is he talking about? Like, his dad was a piece of shit. So I kind of like that you got that perspective, because then it kind of did give the dad a little bit more depth other than just being like this awful person that was trying to kill his family.
I agree with that. I think the thing that is hard is this movie, it doesn't absolve the dad, because you can't absolve what.
No, you really can't.
But at the same time, it does at least give you the feeling like he did love his son, like as shitty as he was, like
he was trying.
Yeah, he was trying, and you're just kind of like, okay. And that's another message, and it's just kind of letting that shit go and not, you know, dwelling on it. I'm gonna butcher this girl's name. I feel so bad. Abra is a character in the movie. Is Kyliegh is what I'm gonna go with. I don't know what she's been in before, but
this is her first thing.
So I got Hailee Steinfeld and True Grit vibes from this girl. I was like, this girl's special. I don't know what she's gonna do next. Probably be a superhero, because that's what everyone's doing now.
She's in some Netflix.
Ironheart.
Dude, if you know what, I would not be mad at that.
I was like, let's do it.
Oh, dude,
call Marvel up. Let's get it going.
Like, hey, Mahershala, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. You got pulled now.
Yeah, do it again.
You're fucking Blade.
Which I'm so excited for. But
we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, this girl's amazing, and the way that her and Dan play off each other. So basically, Dan is, you know, trying to basically, and I did appreciate too how they actually explained The Shining more in detail here. I was like, okay. It kind of actually makes me hate Stranger Things a little bit. Is that weird? Because I love this last season of Stranger Things, but I was sitting there watching the movie the whole time and went, they're kind of doing what Stranger Things did in 8 episodes, but in like more than, you know what I mean? No, it's like more than less than half the time. I was like, wow, okay, so you kind of explained your version of the Upside Down. You made me care about this girl. Yeah, I was like, God, you kind of wrapped all that up in a bow in under 3 hours. I was like, that's kind of impressive. Like,
but then you lose all those sick electronic synth pop songs that you get to listen to.
I mean, I do love that. I'm kind of fucking with Chris right now because Chrissy hated the last season of Stranger Things.
Really did. It was awful. I hated it so much.
So like, it was great when we were texting. Like, through it. She was like, Hunter, like, what part are you in? I'm like, oh, no, episode 7. She's like, what do you think of the season? I'm like, oh, I think it's great. And she texts me back at a point like, ... I was like, I'm sorry. Like I know some people didn't.
I honestly hated the second season. I thought it was terrible. I think the third season's a lot better than the second season. That's
interesting because I love all 3 seasons. That's really... But... So, this girl's like... So now, Allie, I'm going to kind of defer to you here. So, is she as powerful in the book as the movie kind of makes her...
Yeah.
Okay.
She really is, like, the most powerful psychic that anybody has ever seen. She does have all these powers. And, like, when... Like, you know, when Rose finds out about her and she's like, oh, she's Big Shine. And then later she's like, no, she's bigger than Big Shine. She's literally could keep us fed for life. And to give some context on that, we called them psychic vampires, but basically what they do is they kidnap children with Shine, whether they have, like, minimal or big, and then they torture them to get them to release steam, which is how they live. Not, like, they're not immortal, but they extend their life well past what they should in it. But it also, like, you know, basically turns them into monsters.
The steam effect too, I thought was just really
with the glowing
creepy.
eyes.
Oh my god! Like when they were taking kids, like their Shine or what have you, seeing the kids like freak out and how she was feeding off. Like it was weird. I don't know if I could ever. I'll have to wait a little while to be attracted to Rebecca Ferguson again. Because, like, she was, like, getting... Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was, like, she was, like, getting off and, like, taking the kids... Like, so I asked you, and my fault. Like, but the way she was, like, they're all, like, practically getting off and, like, draining these children, I'm like, oh, it's like, thank God Kevin Spacey wasn't in this, but sorry, allegedly, sorry.
He got off.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
Because somehow the person accusing him died, but we'll go on to something else.
This is not a conspiracy.
I know, just the tangents we go on, but that effect I thought was super well done, and when you saw the kids after they've been drained, you're like, oh wow, like they were literally drained. That scene they flash back to almost in like the 80s when they have the little girl and she's kind of like walks off by herself.
Oh, Violet,
yeah. That scene just broke my heart, and I was sitting there the whole time like when the Rose just standing there by the lake. I went, just run, look. I'm like, girl, just turn around, you know.
I liked that she was smart at first, little girl. She was like, no, I shouldn't talk to you. You're a stranger. And I was like, yes, dude, go away from this person. Yeah. She's wearing a weird hat. Go away.
Her friends just keep slowly closing in on you. Exactly. I would be like, okay, bye.
Mm-hmm. You know, fucking also, like, I do find it funny that of course they have the black girl in here. She's the one who's like, yeah, this all seems really bad. She's the one person who's like, yep, this all seems terrible. I feel like I shouldn't be fucking with this. But one thing I did appreciate about Abra though is that you do see her confidence in her powers and everything grow. That's where Rose basically like grabs the back of her head and Abra goes, fuck that, get out of my head. And just that effect, I was like, holy shit. Like, that was it's like the last scene in Stranger Things, where last season, when she kept going to that place. And I'm like, girl, you need to stop doing this. You need to stop. Like, you know, and those ghosts finally call her punk card. They're like, bitch, what are you thinking? Like, I was happy that I got... for a moment that fear of, oh shit, she's in the same spot, but how she set a trap for everyone. I'm like, this girl's fucking amazing.
I like how they kind of turned the horror onto Rosa Hatt in some parts, where she was like, and it was like, oh, now it's scary because she doesn't know what's going on, and it's like that. I've never really seen that in a horror movie before.
That actually caught me off guard because it did almost seem very like a trope. Like, okay, she'll use her powers too much, she'll extend it. They'll trap her at some point, and then oh crap, here we go. But Abra's kind of in control for most of it
until the end when Crow Daddy.
Yeah. Who? Okay, so if there's a complaint, and there's really, I don't really have many. You don't really get to know the group outside of Rose the Hat. It's really just her.
Honestly, it's very true because I'm looking at we have the cast list pulled up, and I keep seeing that they have all the names from the book, but they don't introduce any of them except for Crow Daddy. Snakebite Andy, and then, well, I guess Grandpa Flick.
They like say his name once. It's like,
yeah.
Grandpa Flick,
well,
sit.
And also, this is funny fact, I told Aaron this. So Barry the Chunk, they changed his name to make it less racist, because in the book, his name is Barry the Chink.
Oh, shit, is it really?
It really is.
Oh, damn. That's...
And I mean, there's like a whole explanation about how he chose that name himself because he was like trying to turn racism on its head. And she does call him Barry the Chunk at one point. So I was like, okay, it makes sense that they were just like, okay, we can't have this racist name. We gotta like take this out.
Yeah, that would not fly.
No! I don't know what Stephen King was thinking, but it kind of works in the book sense because, you know, they get the chance to explain why he's called that.
Yeah.
But no, in this, there was no way that they were going to take 5 minutes to explain why this isn't racist.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
Yeah.
I always talk about Cliff. So Cliff Curtis is actually one of my favorite character actors. I love seeing him and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay.
I don't know who Cliff Curtis is. I think you mean what's that quarterback?
He looked like Colin Kaepernick. Like in 20 years, that's what Colin Kaepernick.
I mean, he did have cornrows in his first scene, and I kind of agree.
He did.
They do look vaguely similar.
Like,
So it's funny when you brought that up. I went, he doesn't look. But I pulled a shot from the scene. I went, oh my god, he kind of does look like Colin Kaepernick.
She brought it up. I'm just stealing her joke. So
I was like, okay, that's completely fair. Like he kind of looks like Colin Kaepernick. Cliff Curtis is great in this, and him and Dan have really good chemistry. I love how Dan is looking like homeless Noah, basically at the beginning of the movie, and Billy just kind of takes a chance up. Now remind me. Do they establish Billy has some form of shine, right?
They do kind of like, because he's like, oh, I always have good feelings about people.
Yeah.
Which is like, he has like a minor form of the shine, so he can like tell that Danny's a good person.
Which I appreciate that they kind of lay out, like, you know, sometimes people know when people are in danger, sometimes people know when they just need to hear like a positive word. I like the way they explain the shine in that instance. I went, huh. I was like, okay, that's like, so if you wanted to delve deeper into that, that's a very easy route for you to go. Yeah. You know, like what levels are there to this? I thought that was a very subtle thing. I went, oh, that's all right, well played, movie. Crow Daddy. Now is that the main guy? That's the guy who
kidnapped. It's like Rose Hat's like boyfriend, I guess is what you would say.
Like,
partner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So when he ended up kidnapping Abra, and that whole scene of them in the car, the van together. Which, by the way, evil vampires a little on the nose to use a van. By the way, to kidnap. Like, I feel bad for anyone who drives a van, because if I'm a kid, I'd be like, like any van I see, you know. I was like, oh, that's a shame, but.
They only sell vans to creepy people. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, you have to have a license to get it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a law. Look it up.
Thanks for filling me in. I appreciate it. But he's an asshole. Like, Rose is evil, but there's like a charm to her.
She's just looking out for her family.
Well, that's the thing. I was gonna say, like, the last podcast on the left did a interview with Mike Flanagan, and that's what he talked about as like Rebecca Ferguson. Like, the way that she looked at her character was that she wasn't a villain. She was doing everything for her family and what she thought was best. So even though, yes, her actions are horrible, the way that she looks at it is that they're not horrible, which honestly makes her a more compelling villain. And that's why I think that she like worked so well. And like Crow Daddy doesn't think that way. He's just like kind of outwardly evil.
Yeah, he's just like, oh man, like he's like, oh, I'm not to dose you at the next stop. I'm like, god damn, dude, like you already have her. Like what, you know, like
double seatbelted.
Yeah, which oh man, seriously, kids. Wear your seatbelts, like I you know, and I will say that was something that I did appreciate, is that he's very arrogant in his actions. Just like, I got this, I got her, neener. Rose gets that point pretty early on where she's like, oh fuck, this girl's a threat. Like, and they even get to the point where we can't turn her. Like, there's no we can't even take the chance that she could, you know, act right and just fuck us all up. And there's a scene in this movie, oh my god, it's so good, where Abra and Dan and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name, Billy, go ahead and trap a bunch of what's the group's name? I'm completely
The True Knot.
And they start just snipering several of them, and oh my god, that scene! I was like, it kind of reminded me something like out of The Revenant. I was like, damn, this is really
brutal.
Like the way it was shot and everything. The Snake Bite Andy. So she's in the movie. She's played this girl called I haven't really seen her in anything. Emily Allen Lind is what I'm gonna go with. We confirmed she is 19, right? So
yes.
we can all.
She's in The Babysitter. If you guys saw that on Netflix, which is really fun.
The only reason I asked is because Chris off mic, Chrissy was like, "Yeah, can we talk about the girls in this?" I'm like, "Yeah, like every girl in here is like gorgeous," and I was like, "Okay, wait, she looks a little," because they even say she gets they capture her. She's what, 15?
15, yeah.
So I was really sitting there like, oh gosh, she's 15 is gonna be really I really hope I don't read it on Twitter about someone going like, oh, she's fucking like, I'm just like, okay. So hearing that she's 19, went, okay, I can take it, but I don't know what her career trajectory is gonna be after this. She's not giving a lot of lines, but I love her flip from basically being Ellen Page in Hard Candy, where she's doing which is a pretty brilliant thing she's doing. So basically, she goes on the they say forums, right, on websites,
some kind of chat.
Yeah, and she's meeting these older guys. And she's telling them that she's 15, and they're still like, "Oh, hey, let's go meet up at a theater." I'm like, fuck, it's a very uncomfortable reality that that fucking happens. So when this girl was able to make people go, make them go to sleep, but just by saying
that's how they introduce her, right? Is in the movie theater, and the guy walks up and is like, "We're gonna do this" or something like that.
Yeah,
and then she,
which by the way, it's so sick and transactional.
Yes, exactly.
You couldn't buy her something for her. They're like, nope, let's get down to it. It's oh,
didn't even buy her popcorn. What the
I know, what an asshole. So that brought me probably the most joy of most parts of the movie, where she tells him to go sleep, and she's basically talking shit to him as she's going, look, I'm gonna go and like fuck your face up right now, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're like, yeah, yes, it's coming. So
yeah, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, he deserves it.
Yeah, fair enough. But they end up capturing her, and so it's cool to see that turn from something that was, I won't use the term pure, but she was using her gift for good, to a very not good thing that she's doing.
I don't know if she was using it for good, because she was just robbing them too. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it's like, but they deserved it. It's like, evil but gets evil.
I was like, she's like chaotic good.
Yeah.
In the sense that she's doing technically something that isn't like, those people deserve it because they're pedophiles and they're terrible.
Yes.
But she's not doing it in like a not illegal way.
Yeah.
Because she is robbing them and she is maiming them.
She's not doing it for the purest of reasons. You could justify it slightly less if she wasn't robbing him, but the fact she is on top of it, it's like, well, all right. So
and if you break it down a little further, it's like, she didn't keep helping people after she became a psychic vampire.
That's a good point.
I think she was in it the whole time just for herself.
Honestly, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Chrissy, kind of your thoughts on that?
Oh no, I agree. Yeah.
She was just. It was amusing in a very sick way to me. I was like, oh wow, you just tell someone oh, go to bed, and then just oh, but I have a big fear of someone fucking I definitely remember when I had a fly land on my face. I slapped myself while I was asleep. I was like, "Fuck!" And that's how I woke up. It's like, oh, so just having someone screw me while I'm asleep. Yes. I hate that shit. There's no quicker way for me to slap you than you're poking me when I'm asleep. So but because she has the whole, and Ali, I'm going to kind of refer to you here again, because I haven't watched it in a while. They established that Dan is clearly strong because, he's dealt with The Shining for a while. Now, are we kind of going off the route of, okay, the alcohol has kind of numbed it to enough? Because he's able to stand his ground pretty well, as the movie goes on. Obviously he's not drinking as much, and he's gone, what they say, 8 years, something like that, without drinking. But I just wonder, like, does the book talk about, like, if you can numb your power?
I think the movie even talked about it, though.
Like, yeah, so, like, that was kind of, like, the thing is that, like, at the very beginning, when he's still dealing with the ghost from the Overlook, and he learns from Dick Halloran how to lock them in his mind. So there's that, but he's still... They barely touch on it. But in the book, he, like, despite having... like done that and gotten rid of the Overlook ghost, he does have this like ability to tell when somebody is going to die, and he sees flies all over their place. And so he talks about it with his mom, how he knew she was going to die because she was covered in the flies and he couldn't look at her because that's all he saw.
Yeah.
And so that kind of starts it. He like is sick of hearing other people's thoughts. He's sick of being able to like read thoughts, see when people are going to die. So he starts drinking at like 14 in the book to dampen his power so he doesn't have to deal with it. But because alcoholism is a disease and it is hereditary, he is terrible with alcohol and just becomes his father, becomes an angry drunk and constantly gets, they show he gets in bar fights all the time and he sleeps with that girl that is clearly very young.
Which, oh man, so... This movie does a great job of establishing that Dan is just kind of a piece of shit, just kind of from jump. And I was like, oh, dude. Like I'm sitting there watching, like, so anytime a dude does something like that, I'm like, fuck, you're not making our life easy. You know what I mean? Like, come, like, just do, like, be better. And you see because the girl he sleeps with has a kid.
His kid.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, like, no, man, like...
I mean, but I think they did a good job, because I told Aaron I really hoped they included that scene, because that's his rock bottom, and it's what makes him be like, okay, I can't anymore.
So that's in the book?
That's in the book.
Interesting,
and
okay.
And, like, he thinks about them all the time, and that's also what kind of keeps him, after he joins A, keeps him on the straight and narrow, because he does know that they died, that whole thing with them being like, nobody found us. Yes, they really did die. And he feels responsible and guilty for it. So, like, that was, like, his turning point. And it needed to be there. And so I'm like, it's really dark and really upsetting because he isn't very good in that scene. But, like, it needed to be there.
I appreciate that scene because I do think that in order to cheer for him, you do have to see him go through a really dark thing. And that really... And that's something I gotta give this movie credit for, too, is that it made me uncomfortable at multiple points, but I needed to be uncomfortable to appreciate where we actually end up. I felt so bad for Abra's parents in this because so first off, and I'm gonna go on a rant here because fuck it. Like, I remember you talking about. So I remember I played with a Ouija board one time when I was like 7. And I remember that shit floated. I've never ran that fast to this day. So to this day, like I remember I used to see Ouija boards and fucking Toys R Us. And I'd be like, like I'd still like 10 years later, I'm like, fuck, why do we sell these? Like, yeah, like burn them all. And
Parker Brothers or whatever.
Yeah, like they don't give a shit. They're like, oh, cool, like money. Like, but I remember that, and that's why I will. If someone tells me that ghosts don't exist, I'll tell you you're fucking wrong. But I remember that in particular because it made me go like, okay, there's just certain things you shouldn't fuck with. Her dad, first off, Dan just shows up at his house, so he's like, okay, like why is this random like old white man all my lawn?
Oh,
like,
dude, gives such pedophile. Like,
yeah,
like no, I swear it's not like that.
Like talking to his daughter, like who the fuck are you? So
you're Uncle Dan.
Yeah,
so creepy.
Yeah, so yeah, calling him uncle too. You're like, oh, like okay, if you're a parent, you'd be fucking freaking out. But then when Abra displays her powers, he just immediately is like, fucking A. He's like
shaking while pouring the drink. Like, that'd be all of us if turned out our child was a psychic.
Oh my god, seriously though. Like that, I just want to give him a hug. Like that's a roll of the dice, man. Like, of all the kids in the world you could have gotten, you got the one that can talk to ghosts and shit. Like, I felt bad for the dad, and he meets a really fucking unfortunate end, which I was like, oh.
Fucking Crow Daddy.
Yeah, right? I mean,
I just love saying his name, Crow Daddy.
Crow Daddy.
I mean, I felt really bad for the dad, but I like the dad in a little bit that you get with him because he clearly loves his daughter and loves his family, but they're dealt this really awkward hand where he's like, fuck. And yeah, you're talking about the whole where he's trying to pour a drink, his hand is just shaking. You're like, oh, dude, like I'm sorry, man. Like, and the mom is out of town. I remember they say.
Yeah.
Now they say because she, her mom is visiting her grandma.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm blanking. Do they say she dies in the movie, the grandma?
I think that they do. It's at the very, very end. She says that her grandma is. Like, because Dan talked to her.
Yeah, because I remember she Abra tells her say hi to her for me or something something that made me go oh, that the end is kind of around the corner for her. Which was really sad to be that young and know that shit's coming. It's like, oh fuck.
I mean, it's kind of a bummer because in the book, Dan himself goes to see the grandma and uses the Dr. Sleep power.
Oh, I would actually like
where
that.
She passes. The grandma's actually a really big character in the book. Like she's a lot more. I mean, I get why they left her out of the movie because everything she's in is like background on Abra and not necessary to the plot. So I get why they wrote her out for the movie, but she is fairly important in the book.
Interesting. Okay. I will say for me, as we're just kind of going through here, as far as things that just made me go, oh, the end of the movie gets a little Shining-esque. And I think if people are going to have an issue, it might be that. Because I think when this movie is doing its own thing, that's when it's at its best.
When it's just like the book?
Yeah.
The first hour is...
Oh, here we go. That was good. No, go ahead, Alex.
I mean, okay, I will be perfectly honest. I'm very on the fence about The Shining because I am such a Stephen King person. And as we all know, he is... very, very vocal about how much he's always hated the Kubrick adaptation because they did.
I had no idea how much he hated it until I was doing research on this.
Hates it.
Well, also, but the thing is that Kubrick did it on purpose to piss him off in certain scenes.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do what you want.
And then he would change things that were important to the book, like the color of the car and stuff like that. That Stephen King was like, "This is stupid. Why are you doing this?" And he was like, "Because I wanted to. Because I don't give a fuck, and this is my story now."
Oh, that's
so he took the premise of it and then just kind of was like, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And I mean, Kubrick is the real villain because he's a really mean person and he fucked up Shelley Duvall so bad on the set of that movie.
Yes, he did.
She's in a mental ward now.
Is she
really?
Yeah.
He really fucked her up bad. But so when I saw the trailer for Dr. Sleep and I saw that they were following Kubrick Shining, I was pissed. I was like, I know why they're doing it, but I don't like that they're doing it like that.
Yeah.
I get it. The Kubrick Shining is a classic to horror fans.
Yes.
It is very popular, very well known by people, even people who don't really like horror. So I get why they did it. But I was still mad. But I think that the way that he put it in and he tried to add as much of the book in it as he could, and he also got Stephen King's blessing to use the Kubrick Shining. He wrote the screenplay and was like, hey, I really want to do Dr. Sleep, but I want to do it with the Kubrick thing, but I have my own plan, can I send it to you? What do you think? Okay. Stephen King read it and was like, hey dude, I think this is great. I think that you are mixing both of us really well. Please proceed. And after he said that, I was like, okay, well if he's
giving you
the friggin' author who notoriously hated that adaptation was like, yeah, go for it.
Okay, that's fair.
Then I'm like, okay, we'll go with it.
So, Chrissy, kind of your thoughts on, because you've read this, the book.
Yes.
Right?
It's been a very long time, but yes.
Okay. I mean, do you remember enjoying it? Like it more than The Shining?
I mean, as far, book-wise, I don't know. I feel I liked them both. We know my opinion on the Shining movie. Yeah. But,
yeah.
I feel I feel like Dr. Sleep, followed The Shining pretty well. I'm not a huge fan of sequels in general.
Okay.
But I did enjoy Dr. Sleep. And I thought it tied up a lot of, not loose ends from The Shining, but it just kind of finished things pretty well.
Okay.
I did enjoy the movie Dr. Sleep, and I didn't know that he was kind of I knew he was trying to go off of The Shining the movie, but I didn't know he had the blessing and everything from
I
Stephen
didn't
King.
either.
So that's really
crazy.
cool to know, because I slightly felt guilty for enjoying the movie, but but I do appreciate that he did kind of try to tie in the book as well, because I don't know, the movie The Shining it just portrayed everyone, like every single character, in their worst light, which I didn't, having read the book first, I didn't appreciate, because you're just trying to capitalize on their flaws instead of trying to know, the things that they are trying to do correctly, even if they suck at it. They're still trying.
Wendy is so much stronger in the book. She is not like the screaming mess that Shelley Duvall is.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay. Was I aware of that? I'm getting Stephen King education on the books.
If you really want to because The Shining is not that long. It's it's like his third book, and it's pretty short, so you could read it. But if you ever want to watch something that's like pretty close, Mick Garris, who did the Stand miniseries, made a Shining miniseries in like 2004.
Okay.
With Stephen King, and it's not perfect because the little kid that plays Danny is so annoying.
God. It grates on my ears.
Okay.
But Steven Weber plays Jack Torrance, and he plays that role perfectly, because you do get the sympathetic, I'm just an alcoholic trying to make myself better, and they do keep most of the stuff from the book, but it's also made in 2004, so the graphics, or actually I think it's 97, I think it's older, but it's like early CGI, and it is not good.
Okay.
Does not hold up.
There's a lot of stuff here. A couple other things I wanted to go over. The scene where in Abra's parents' house, where the spoons and everything are on the ceiling, I was like, oh shit. And I think if there is a complaint outside of maybe the stuff at the end going a little too much into The Shining, as far as how they portray things, I think the movie's a little slow to start. I think the first 45 minutes, because there's a lot of setup on this, but for what they are setting up, you kind of need it. You can't rush through it, so I understand. I was sitting there the whole time. I was never bored, but I was kind of like a half hour in. I was like, all right, where are we?
I guess at that point it's more drama than horror.
Yeah.
Because it is more about, the first part is definitely more about a man's recovery than it is setting up any sort of horror aspect.
But see, I think of this more, obviously you guys watch more horror than I do, but I think this is more of a thriller than a horror
100%.
movie.
It's definitely not horror.
Yeah. Because while there was one jump scare when they showed the lady in the bathtub, and I was like, God damn! Like in the theater, I was like, ah!
There was one other one when at the overlook and the light turns on when he walks under it.
Oh yeah!
And I was like, I thought I was going to get through without a jump scare. I was so happy. And then,
if you guys don't know this, he really hates horror movies.
I really do.
Never likes to go with me, and I was like, no, this one won't be scary. It's not that kind of horror. And then, of course, they had to throw in one jump scare.
I like some horror movies. I like creepy, kind of slow burn horror movies. I do not like jump scares.
Yeah, see, no, that's it's funny. I just got a screener for Midsummer, which I have not watched.
Oh, you'll love it.
It's really good.
So
it's
good.
Really good.
Yes.
And okay, when I do that, but I got it, and I was like, horror movie. But I'm like, okay.
Honestly, there's not a lot of jump scares. You're fine.
I don't even think there's
there's
any jump scares. No, there's one.
Oh yeah,
in the temple.
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing is that I'm sure you didn't see Hereditary.
No.
But this one is a lot funnier. There's a lot more comedy. Will Poulter, basically, his entire role is to be a comedy, and it is honestly more about a woman dealing with grief than it is grief and the end of her shitty relationship. Because God, Christian is the worst.
We're not talking about Midsummer.
No.
Christian is the worst, guys.
No, it's good. But the movie's a little slow to start.
Oh yeah.
Once it gets going though, I was never bored. I was sitting there the whole time. It's like, yeah, this is all working for me. It's great to see Rose the Hat. She's one of my favorite villains of the year. To be completely honest, I was shocked at how, not shocked because I don't think Rebecca Ferguson's a good actress, because I pretty much everything I see her and I go, wow, you're really great, and I look forward to seeing her and stuff. But the amount of depth they gave her for so little at points, I was like, okay, this is working. And how genuinely pissed off she gets the more a movie goes on, because they slaughter everyone outside of her in that third act, and she is not about it. She's like, oh, that's how it is, and it's scary to see her ramp up. She's like, all right, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. When her and Dan have their big fight on the stairs, first off, she gets his
brachials in the arm, femoral artery.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, I was squirming in my seat like there was no tomorrow.
I hate that kind of stuff.
I do too, because she was digging her finger in. I'm like, oh, okay.
That part was brutal.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, okay, fuck, like just kill him already. But how she's like starts draining him while she's like twisting her finger, and I was like, fuck, someone shoot her! Like, I was like that really irked me, but in a good way, because you're supposed to feel uncomfortable. But and I'm gonna ask Allie, because I was sitting there and I kind of laughed because I remember this part from the Shining book, the whole thing with the boiler. Like what?
Oh yeah, okay. So I honestly, I'm glad you brought this up. So they specifically, one of the things that he told Stephen King he was going to do, and I think this is also part of why he got his blessing, was because he was like, I'm going to end it the way the Shining book ends. He's like, so you're still going to get your Shining ending finally, correctly. So obviously at the end of the Shining book, the way that it's a really similar conversation, the way that Dan and his mother escape, because he gets cornered by his dad with the mallet, and he's like, you forgot about the boiler. And so they're like, the ghosts are like, okay, look, your son right now, go dump the boiler, because if you don't, it'll blow up. And it's the one time that Jack is able to come to himself, and so he purposely decides not to dump the boiler, and he lets his family escape, and he's basically sacrifices himself. And so it's exactly what happens at the end of Dr. Sleep. Dan is possessed by essentially his father, the ghost of his father, and Abra reminds him that he needs to dump the boiler, and so he lets Abra escape, and then he lets the Overlook burn down.
Which, okay, so I was confused on that, because I'm assuming he died because she's still talking to him.
He did. It was the same thing with Dick Halloran, how he was fired. I mean, I was wondering how they were going to do that, because, spoiler, Dick Halloran lives in The Shining. He gets axed in the back in the movie, but he actually...
Oh, does he really?
He lives through the whole movie.
That's okay, that's a little irritating, actually. Yeah.
I did not know. Because, I know it does kind of seem like when they spend all this time having him get to the Overlook just to have him die within 2 seconds. It's very sad. But in the book, he actually manages to do more help, and he manages to help Wendy and Danny escape, and then he is like a mentor to Danny during the early parts of his life, and then Dan is there when he dies. And so I was like, how are they going to do this, since they obviously killed Scatman Crothers in The Shining?
Yeah.
But I think the way that they did it with having him be a talking ghost was fine.
And, I did too, and I like the whole concept of the whole, you got a debt to pay, stop being an asshole. I mean, he stopped judging. I think he might actually even call him an asshole.
He's like, you didn't need to come into my kitchen or something like that. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, he kind of punks him.
He punks him a little bit.
He's like, look, dude, this is how it is. Shut the fuck up. Go save this girl, And I will say it does set up it. So I think it closes the loop pretty well. If they wanted to do another one, but unfortunately after box office returns for its opening weekend, it lost midway, which I was shocked by. I was like, really?
People like explosions. What can you say?
I know, but I'm like, dude, like good horror, it's so... I don't want to say it's hard to get now, but everything is so much jump scares and everything. When I do see a good horror movie, I'm like, hey, go see this, please, so I get more of this. And
thank God the critics liked it, because that will help it.
It will, but it was a bummer though. When I saw it wasn't number one, I was like, that's stupid.
I just think that it sucks, because he had to use Kubrick Shining, because if he hadn't, the people who have only seen that would have been like, well, I don't understand. Why didn't you use any of this? But I think that by using Kubrick Shining, he is also bringing himself under the scrutiny of people comparing him to Kubrick, which is... Yeah. He can't be compared to that guy.
No, of course not. And he was in a lose-lose situation, because if he didn't use a Shining movie, people would be like, Like,
what the hell?
Yeah. But now he is. Those people who don't like it are like, well, what the fuck are you doing? So, like, I feel for him. But, like I said, I went this cold. I mean, obviously, I remember a decent amount from The Shining, the movie, to clarify. But I think that even if you go in cold, that you're still going to be like, yeah, this was fun.
My thinking is, I was like, why doesn't Mike Flanagan just remake The Shining? Because he obviously understands the source material.
People lose their shit.
I just don't think that he can, to be honest.
But like, I was like, he should have just remade it and then made the sequel back to back. You know what I mean?
That would have been great, and I really trust him to make a faithful adaptation. But I just think that it's too hard to remake a movie that's
everyone loves.
Yeah. I mean, look at what happened with like anytime they've remade any of the like classic horrors, like when Rob Zombie made Halloween, or when they made that terrible remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, where they actually made him a pedophile when he wasn't originally.
That was. Yeah, just going through a couple quick scenes that I really enjoyed. The whole way that that Dan and Abra are communicating, like as far as like seeing obviously the callback, you see murder written there, but even her just writing like hi and it popped me up on his a very clever, albeit convenient thing with him moving into that room and
the
like,
blackboard.
I'm like,
like explain that the person who lived here before you was a math student. Okay.
I admittedly very convenient, but at least a logical reason for why. Like,
blackboard paint.
I was like, all right, fair enough, movie. You cover your base on that. I thought that was actually really well done, and it does lead to some really cool moments. The whole upside down like window trick that Abra did, I thought that shit was awesome. I was like, okay. I would be like, impressed movie.
All the effects in this movie were actually really good. Honestly, because most of them were practical though. That's why
the budget was like 30-40 mil. I want to say. On it.
Mike Flanagan's really big about practical effects because he did The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. In fact, he really loves to cast the same people because the little girl that they kill at the beginning of this was also in The Haunting of Hill House. The doctor was in, the guy who was like Watch He Finds, Dan, that guy was in Gerald's Game. Grandpa Flick was also in Gerald's Game. He casts a lot of the same people.
So there's this scene where Rose is talking shit to her, and she's like, you spend all your time making memories, mine are like a cathedral, and she like starts going through like the memories of Abra, and she's like, I got this bitch now, and the like file cabinets, it slams on her hand, and I was. Oh my god, that's it. Okay, I wish you could see Chrissy smile. When I brought up someone being physically harmed, Chrissy's like, oh, here we go.
I loved it.
That scene, oh my god, that scene. I was like, oh, movie, you're ramping up now. because Abra, like we talked about, Abra, it seems like she's just a step like in front of Rose, and as her confidence grows, her power grows. So it's actually really cool to see that evolution of her character. And when Rose has to pull her fingers and pull her hand out,
just comes out.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that is really fucking unfortunate for you. And that's when it's no longer funny for her because she's kind of like, oh, I got this bitch, whatever. Oh fuck, he really owned me.
Yeah, she had been like just sassy the whole time until that part, and then after that is when she really got like upset.
Yeah,
like I would say like truly evil.
Yeah, exactly.
So do they ever explain in the book the significance of the hat?
Not really. I think it was just like she had it. It was given to her or something, and she just always had it. Because they never really say how old Rose the Hat is, but they hint that she's lived for a couple hundred years. Okay,
because she dropped her hat in the grocery store, and this clerk goes to grab her, and she's like, "No, I haven't." And I was like, "Shit, okay, why?" Why so serious? Okay, but they never. And this is such a nitpick, but I kind of would have liked something on that. I was like, all right, it would have been cool to know why. Yeah, what the significance of that is. But
you never know. Stephen King might write a prequel novel about this, and then we'll know.
there's a lot of references to other Stephen King stuff. Like,
I was for it too. All the Dark Tower references.
So
I was about it.
The opening music. I was like, oh! I'm like, yes, I get that reference.
Or Dick Halloran saying "cause a wheel." I mean, that is straight from the Dark Tower.
Straight from the Dark Tower.
Yeah. No. The bus he's on.
Tet.
Thank you. Yeah, that's Dark Tower. I mean, it's pretty crazy, and there's a couple I know. So I went, oh, that's clever. Okay, even the way the guy's office is set up is very reminiscent.
It was exactly the same as Richard Ullman's office, which I thought was a very neat callback.
Yeah, I was like, look at I appreciate like fans making shit because you can clearly tell he's like, all right, I'm gonna put in like very subtle. But it's not beating you over the head. It's not stopping the movie to go, all right, reference. Now we can get back to the movie. It's very much sprinkled throughout. I went, okay, this is a very nice way to pay homage to shit, but not have it encompass your movie. So there were several references that I thought that worked really well. The last thing I'm going to say before we get to our reviews, Snakebite Andy, she does something before she meets her end. That I just thought was like the bitchiest thing in the world to do. I was like, oh, you fucking like, yeah. I was like, you're like, I was sitting there at the end. I'm like, you're an asshole.
And I loved Billy. Like, Billy is like such a good character, and I was so bummed.
Yeah, like that really. I mean, obviously, you kind of want it to be Dan and Abra versus Rose, so I get why he did it. But just such a shitty, like, such a Mysterio thing to do. Like I've been beat, but fuck it, I'm gonna take one last shot just to be.
I'm dying, but still.
Yeah, but just to be a prick, so fucking petty. Like, I kind of appreciate it, but it's like what did Billy ever do to you? So, I'll start off and I'll let you guys say your whatever else you guys want to say and give your grade. I just went in this really scared.
I was surprised you went and saw that, honestly.
That's the thing, man. Like, I had someone call me out and be like, you guys don't review horror. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, fine, I'll go see this. Like, and like I said, I have a lot of admiration for Stephen King, so I was like, you know what, fuck it. I was like, I'll suck it up. And there are definitely times I was looking at the wall at points, I'm like, don't be a jump scare. Like, don't fuck with me, movie. And even the score in this, the score is so atmospheric and it fucks with you. And there's so many points where like the score would stop and I'd be looking around like, oh!
We didn't even talk about the music. The music was so good.
The music is excellent in here. And
the composer, because I know that they used a lot of the music straight from The Shining, at least at the end.
Yeah,
that classic bum bum bum.
Yeah, but I love how they did the whole like when a ghost like was near or was about to appear, do the whole boom boom boom.
The heartbeat.
Like, yeah, I'm like, stop that.
Fun fact though, there was a lady in our theater when we went and saw it that hated that, and so after the movie, she was like, "There was too much heartbeat." It was so weird. I thought it was the weirdest complaint.
That made it really tense. It was like
it did.
It definitely brought anxiety up, and I was like, oh god.
It really reminded me of like when you play Resident Evil 4 and the music just stopped.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck is about to pop? Yeah. Like, I loved it. I thought it was such a nice touch, and it really kept me on edge. That's the thing. This is 2.5 hours, and I did not feel phrasing the length.
Okay, so the guys who composed the Newton brothers are apparently Mike Flanagan's personal composer, because they also composed Hush, which is his movie, Ouija Origin of Evil, Gerald's Game, and The Haunting of Hill House.
I like to say Ouija Origin of Evil and Aaron pointed at me like, Hunter, Ouija board!
You should watch it. I think we need a Ouija review.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's do another podcast. But I have a genuine amount of admiration for this film. In a time where sequels are all the craze, and how again just watching Alien Covenant recently enough and Terminator, just seeing how you can just fuck up something that someone loves and just leave it out back for dead. I was really happy. I was really happy to see that this movie just didn't fucking suck. Like, that alone, like, gold stars for everyone involved. But between, I think, Ewan McGregor really shown out, Rebecca Ferguson and Kyliegh, it really is their movie. All due respect to Cliff Curtis. I enjoyed the hell out of this. This will be in my top 10, if not my top 5. Like, I really just let the beer.
Damn.
Like, I was shocked.
A horror movie in your top 5. I never thought I'd see the day.
Us was in there. Or we'll be in there, probably.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Just will, too. Thanks. But I left the theater, and the other thing I will say, too, about this is that this leaves on a definitely more hopeful note than The Shining does, which was a nice way to close the loop too, because Abra's still developing her powers. If they want to do a sequel, and I'm going to be very careful of how I phrase this, if they could find a way to do a sequel, get everyone back, and not make it shitty, I would almost prefer a mini-series with Ewan McGregor and Kyliegh, if they could pull it off. If they could genuinely pull it off, I'd be all in for it. So, I've been torn all day thinking about my grade. Because I do have a couple issues that we kind of discussed. So, I'm going to stop just short of giving it a fan-fucking-tastic, which I know is funny considering all the praise I've just given to it. But I'm going to give it an A+. I think that's fair. I might change my grade because I might, but I'm sticking with an A+ right now. So A+ for me. Aaron, go ahead.
I honestly really liked the first 3 quarters of the movie.
Okay.
It was really good. Nothing what I was expecting. I thought I was going to play off the Overlook a lot more than it did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when they got to the Overlook, it didn't do it for me, honestly. And I don't think they got the Overlook right, and it wasn't that scary. I was expecting, when they got to the Overlook, oh shit, we're in for something now.
They did use his exact set. It's just
well, they rebuilt it. Actually, we didn't talk about that either. Is that they got the blueprints from Kubrick's family and rebuilt all the sets.
They rebuilt the set, and they had the iPad, and they were walking around to make sure they had everything picture perfect.
Okay, sorry, retraction, fan-fucking-tastic. No, that is such an amazing part of detail. No, fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah, Mike Flanagan literally, because they recreated all those scenes with Danny on the bike and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he literally watched those scenes over and over again and put the exact things in the exact spot that Kubrick had.
They had the carpet made twice, and then even when they finally got the carpet, the color wasn't perfect, so they digitally recreated the carpet. They used the iconic carpet, but they had to digitally change the color to make sure it was exactly the same.
Insane to me.
The guy who made the carpet originally for The Shining, he copyrighted it, so you can't really copy it without him knowing and getting paid for it.
So they did pay him, but they just couldn't get the color correct.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
They tried, and then I don't know, something about it was made in the 70s. So.
Oh my god, yeah, fan-fucking-tastic now for me, because that's insane to me that amount of detail. Because you would notice it because you're you, but most people, casual people, oh, it looks exactly the same. But that's such an amazing. Okay, that makes me happy. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna say B+. B+.
B+. That's
that's me. That's pretty good because
that is good.
I usually go low on most movies. So,
yeah,
I think I gave Endgame a B.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
And I was like, but that's fair. That is fair.
I want more from Mike Flanagan, and I would want him to do a Dark Tower. That's
oh god, Dark Tower.
Yeah. So we reviewed that, and Dark Tower. I was so disappointed because I love Idris and I love Matthew McConaughey.
Honestly, the casting for that was fine. They just ruined those characters.
Yeah, they. Yeah, it should be a miniseries. It really should.
Well, they are. They're making one.
Oh, are they?
Yep.
On Amazon, they're doing Just Wizard and Glass, though. So it's, they're starting with Just Wizard and Glass, so it's young Roland.
Okay. I'll watch that.
Yeah.
If they haven't cast it yet. Amazon! Come on, you want to. If only. Allie, go ahead.
You're as handsome as Idris. I don't know.
Thanks, buddy.
So I'm going to give it an A-. I told Aaron when we were leaving that this was one of the best Stephen King adaptations I have seen, and I am very, very nitpicky.
Yes, you are.
Stephen King adaptations, and chapter 2, I really wanted to like it more than I did. I was so bummed at the end when I came out of the theater that I was like, I really did not enjoy that, and I thought I was not going to like this one because I'm not such a huge fan of Kubrick Shining, but this was really good. The reason it's not a full A is because, yes, when they get to the Overlook, it just doesn't work. And the scene with his dad didn't do it for me because the actor that they cast to be Jack Nicholson just could not pull off Jack Nicholson. Because we didn't really talk about this, but they recast all the roles from The Shining, and Mike Flanagan was apparently torn between just CGI, using like the CGI version of Shelley Duvall, or casting it. And then they decided to go, he said, I wouldn't make anybody happy regardless. So they decided to cast it instead. And the guy they cast to be Jack Nicholson could not do it right. And so it pulled me out of the scene too much. And so I wasn't like a huge fan of the stuff that happened in the Overlook. But outside of that, I thought it was great. We also didn't talk about my favorite character, Azzy the cat. The cutest fucking cat ever. Also from the book. But that cat was so cute, and when he appeared, I was like, "Yes, it's Azzy! He's so cute!"
I can see you doing that. So for context, so you're giving this an A-. What would you give it chapter 2?
Ooh, probably a B. I was
B?
not.
Okay.
I was like B-. Honestly, like the last 30 minutes of that movie killed it for me. I did not like what they did with Stan's death. I did not like that they went too sentimental, and I did not like what they did with Bill. They made his characters pretty much pointless. And I also thought that them yelling, "You're a stupid clown!" to get him to die was the dumbest thing they could have done. So,
as someone who hates clowns, which is why we have that reviewed at chapter 2, yelling "You're a stupid clown," I don't always probably stand up and get like, great movie.
Like, the end of it is so cerebral, and it's like the real ritual of Chud like takes place in people's minds, and there's like a mind over matter battle, and there's like the turtle who's like the creator of that universe, because they're on the beam of the turtle, which is all this Dark Tower stuff. So I get why it's hard to adapt. But them being like, "You're stupid and I hate you, clown," and he's like, "Oh, they're not afraid of me, I'm gonna shrink and die," is so bad. It was terrible.
Well, okay. When A chapter 2 comes out on Blu-ray, we will have to have you review it, because I want to hear your full alley review now on A chapter 2. I'm like insanely curious.
You should just watch the end because it'll make you laugh.
Wow. Okay. Chrissy, before I get to your grade, for context, what would you give It Chapter 2? Like, as far as a grade?
It Chapter 2, I would give a solid C.
C. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, Lord. Okay.
I loved Chapter 1, and I thought it was the greatest horror movie of, like, recent years.
Okay.
But yeah, It Chapter 2 is severely dropped the ball in every way possible.
Do we agree that Bill Hader? Because that's like the one.
Bill Hader was amazing.
That's like the one constant I've heard, is that Bill Hader.
And they did some good things with his character that weren't in the book. They kind of like hinted that he might have like been gay and had a crush on Eddie.
Okay.
And Stephen King straight says, like, "I didn't write that in the book, but I think that's an amazing addition," and that really worked. But it was just kind of like James McAvoy kind of sucked. Yeah.
So I love James McAvoy. I have a huge man crush on James McAvoy, whether he's in the wheelchair or not. But
whether he's bald or not.
I take care of him. What do you want from me? But I did hear some people were like, "Oh, he was great," and some people were like, "Oh, he sucks." But the one constant I've heard is that Bill Hader is
he was
amazing in that. Good. And I'm a huge fan of the show Barry, so I just think he's just wonderful. But okay, C for chapter 2. Damn, okay,
yeah.
fair enough.
I would stop at Chapter 1.
Okay, fair.
Imagine
just
the
know
ending.
what I said about the ending, and then you know how it ends.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So you don't even need to. Yeah, don't even worry about it.
Cool, perfect. As far as this, anything we didn't mention before we get to your grade that you wanted to bring up?
Well, I mean, I don't know. This is just my personal feelings about it, but the boxes were so literal, and I hated them so much. Every single time they brought up the box, which I think was only like 2 or 3 times, but I hated them every single time. I was like, "Get off the screen. You don't deserve to be here. Please leave." I hate it. I don't know why. I don't know if it was
they didn't really need to show it, honestly. It's
or just, I don't know. Like, it was just...
Like, I could see, like, I get what you're saying, because it's like, when he gives him the box and it's like, memorize this one and then make a mental one, they could just be like, okay, he gave him the box, they don't need to strictly show the exact mental boxes.
Yeah. And then there's the row of boxes, and I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah, he didn't.
It honestly probably would have been better if he'd, like, drawn a box. You know what I mean? But handing him an actual box, I will be the first to admit, I was like, all right, I'm like, we're just getting started. That's a little on the nose.
But maybe it's because he saw it and felt it that it would he was able to make it more real in his mind.
That's what happens.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But I don't know. They could have done something different than an actual box.
Fair.
I don't know.
No, fair enough. So what would you give it? So what would you give this then?
So, I mean, I was telling you I went into this with absolutely zero expectations because I was going in expecting it to be a total failure. And I came out actually enjoying it. I actually really liked once they got to the Overlook. Like, that's what I was waiting for, was for them to get to the Overlook, because I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I do agree that, like, the Jack Nicholson guy. But I still loved, like, yes, he did drop the ball on it, but I still, like, just love the idea of that
It's
scene.
a concept.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because that's what the hotel does, is it takes the worst of you and tries to extort that piece of you, and that's why everyone that takes that, like, role when, like, the caretaker there you go, that's why they all, like, that's why they fail, is because it just extorts the worst in you, and most people succumb to it. So I did love that they had that scene and he was able to, say no and kind of, I don't know, defy the odds.
If we could take 1980 Jack Nicholson and put it into it would have been a beautiful scene. It would have been one of the best scenes in the movie.
Yes, it would have been, because I do agree. He was definitely distracting, and I was like, you're so close.
Your hair is so fake. Why does it make...
I know.
They try to make you look balding, but you definitely aren't.
Yeah. And then you had the guy that played Scatman Crothers that I was like, is that Scatman Crothers?
Did they bring him back to the dead?
I know.
Necromancy!
So I do agree with that. But I mean, I loved the Overlook as a whole. But I would give it a nice B.
B?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. Like, this is one of those movies that I'll buy it when it comes out, and it'll be great being at home, so I can pause it and fast forward through the parts where I'm like, okay, this is like...
There's a jump scare here, I remember this.
Yeah, but, like, it's so rare for me to leave a horror movie, like happy. I mean, now granted, I had to, like, full disclosure, I definitely hit my pin the moment I got out there, and I was like, ooh, okay. I'm like, okay. But I saw
safety blanket, huh?
Yeah, like, dude, I saw 3 movies that night, man. So I was like, okay. I was like, I'm gonna go get dinner and calm down a little bit. I want to get the scary one out of the way first, because I saw this like at 3:30 in the afternoon. I was like, if I see this at 9 at night, I don't think I'm gonna get through. like I think I'm gonna run out there at a point. Like, I can't do this. Dude, you should see me watching Get Out in the theater, man. I was like, oh, this is... Which is still the scariest movie I've seen in the last 5 years, because for obvious reasons.
Well, I was going to say, I was like...
It was 100% not what I was expecting when I saw Get Out, but it was very good.
Yeah.
It's just that, it's one of those movies, it's kind of like Cabin in the Woods, where, like, the way that they frame the trailers is not what the movie is.
At all, yeah. And like, Alea's not in the room. I'm still paranoid. That's why I won't go back home. I'm still paranoid 2 years later. But
it did launch the career of Lakeith Stanfield, who I am obsessed with.
Yeah, true.
He's a great actor.
He's so handsome, too.
He is. I really enjoy that dude. And Daniel, I can never...
Kaluuya?
Yeah, I always want to say Kaluuya, but I'm like, that's just what I want. But I love that movie. And what's her name from Girls, which is the worst show HBO's ever produced. Sorry.
Allison Williams?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Honestly, like, I love Adam Driver, and I refer to him as my boyfriend all the time. Nice. But I've had friends tell me, don't watch Girls because you'll hate him.
You will.
And so I'm like, all right, I won't watch it then.
Yeah, I watched 2 seasons of Girls because I fully believe you cannot talk shit about something unless you watch it. And I watched 2 seasons of Girls, and I was like, this is just like the most entitled show. Like it's female Entourage, and by the way, I hate Entourage too. Like I never feel like Entourage is such a big.
What do you expect from Lena Dunham, the world's worst feminist?
Yeah, which I remember, and we're going off the wheels.
I was going to say, we didn't even get Chrissy's review. Oh, no, we did. It was me. We've been talking for so long, I forgot already.
No, you're good. But it's frustrating as a guy to watch something that other guys are just like, oh, this is the best thing. You're like, you realize, like, the multitude of problems with the show.
Are you talking about Entourage?
Yeah. Like,
who do you know that likes Entourage? I don't know anybody.
Dude, so I was, I would have been 19, 20 when that show was on. And I remember, I think I just moved to Austin. I remember there were several people in each of the classes I was at in college who just adored that show. And I was like, why?
Yeah, it was on for like 6 seasons.
Didn't the entire cast get called out for sexual harassment or something like that?
Most of them.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was like...
Has Adrian Grenier done anything since Devil Wears Prada?
Was he not in the Aquaman movie? Like,
Man, it would have been funny if they did that.
Yeah, they actually put him in Aquaman. But
did you ever watch Entourage?
No.
So there was like a plotline because I watched like 2 seasons of it. There was like a plotline where, because his character is an actor, where he gets cast as Aquaman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where they make an Aquaman movie, but it was well before they had made any superhero movie, so it was kind of like stupid and outrageous.
Yeah.
So it would.
It wouldn't be funny now. I'd be like, oh, that's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Before Aquaman came out, it would have been like, oh, cool, he gets to be a superhero. That'd be a really big career move. But like in the show, it was because only Batman had movies that it was well before Marvel. So
yeah, but that's always one of those shows I never understood why people liked it. Like, yeah, I mean Jeremy Piven, of course. You know, I was gonna say he's a good actor.
He's the worst.
Yeah. But apparently a little handsy too. But yeah, allegedly. Sorry, because I don't want to get sued. Watch Jeremy Piven listen to this. Oh, fucking real pineapple.
that guy.
But yeah, don't watch Girls if you like Adam Driver, because that was my first exposure to him. I remember I was like, oh, dude, really? And then I was like, oh, he's really great in everything outside of Girls.
It's true. I've seen lots of movies with him in it.
The one shining star in the new Star Wars movies, for me at least.
Okay, so let's go here. So I enjoy the hell out of Force Awakens. I enjoyed Solo. I enjoyed Rogue One. I think it's the second best Star Wars film they've ever made.
I agree.
Right behind Empire. I thought Last Jedi was not good. And I remember leaving the theater going, Leia and I actually went and saw it, and I remember going like, Like, that was the exact sound.
That was what I made after Force Awakens. So I was
really? Like, interesting. But like, I remember leaving the theater going like when Yoda popped up, I was like, oh my god, yeah! I lost my shit.
Yeah, that was the best scene.
Yeah, that was.
Because they did crazy Frank Oz Return of the Jedi Yoda,
yeah.
Not cool. I can do backflips prequel Yoda.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, Yoda's back. And then when Luke did Jedi Mind Trick at the end, I was like, oh okay.
When he dusted his shoulder.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Mark Hamill, we don't deserve you. But everything else, man, I thought they made like Finn. I was like, I
hate that character.
Like I'm always cheering on my fellow black people. I was like, oh fuck this dude.
John Boyega is a great actor too. If you see Attack the Block,
I love Attack the Block.
It's so good.
We need a sequel to Attack the Block.
Yes. So the monster design, the practical effects in that movie are so good.
But I remember just watching that last Star Wars, going like, man, I'm very happy we're getting one more, and then apparently they were putting these on ice for a while.
It's like 4 or 5 years before we get another one.
Yeah,
it's like that's good.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now, I got Disney Plus, I have Mandalorian coming out,
Tuesday.
Are you looking forward to that?
No, I might be,
I may or may not have already paid for Disney Plus for a year. I'm really
I did it for 3 years.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, Chrissy,
well, they did that special with like the Disney Plus members.
Didn't we do that too? We did the 3-year one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're locked in for 3
exactly.
years.
We got it. It's like $5 a month for 3 years.
Their site when they when they were like offering it, because it's cheap either way. Even if you get it for a year, it's still like $10 a month roughly. But when they first announced that, I was like, cool, that's what I'm gonna do, because you don't actually have to pay until November 12th.
Yeah.
But apparently that was such a big deal that like their site crashed.
That's insane.
And Taika Waititi's in it, and I will see anything that man is in, because he's my favorite person in the world right now.
So it's funny you bring him up. When you guys leave, I'm actually going to review Jojo Rabbit. I have, and I'm not going to do my whole review here, but it is such a wonderful surprise, and it made me say something I never thought I would say. I wanted more Hitler. Which I think alone is a win for the movie. But he's amazing, and that movie's genuinely wonderful. So please go see it as soon as you can.
I haven't seen it yet. I need to.
Yeah, like this guy sitting next to me, because we saw it yesterday morning. He was the happiest person probably in that theater. He's like, dude, this movie's fucking awesome. Like, to the point he like high fived me. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's great. So yeah, he's one of my favorite people working right now. And Mandalorian, after I saw it first trailer, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, that's all. I was gonna watch it anyway, but I'm like, yeah, like you didn't need to tell me more. But like, okay, the first thing I'm gonna watch when it launches. Dude, old school Spider-Man the animated series.
Oh, bud.
That's why I fell in love with Mysterio.
Yeah, first thing I'm putting on. I'm like, yep.
Put that 3-episode arc with Venom in it, and I'll be set. That's my childhood. That's my childhood right there.
I love that shit. So, okay, real quick. Chrissy, I'm going to ask you first. What is your favorite Disney movie? Chrissy's face off. Only you can see her face right now. Like... She's like, whoa, what are you trying to do?
I know. I think you broke my brain a little bit.
Because if I ask Chrissy her favorite holiday, it's Halloween.
Halloween, for sure. Yeah.
Which, while you're thinking about it, we, Alea and I were privileged enough to go to Chrissy's wedding here recently, a couple weeks ago, and it was just all Halloween and spooky out in the barn. I was just like, this is wonderful. Chrissy actually got me go out in a corn maze, which is one of my biggest fears, because just being lost in a maze like that at night, I was like, oh man, this is like...
And I have photo proof.
Yeah, I was like, I hate everything about this. But we got lost for a little bit, but found our way out.
But then, we found our way out through the entrance, so...
Yeah, which I still count as a win. As far as
you just went backwards, it's okay. It's fine.
Hey, sometimes you have to go back to where it all started.
Exactly. I got you. I see you there.
Well played. All right, Chrissy, you got me. I know.
And so, asking me my favorite horror movie is so much easier.
What's your favorite horror movie?
House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price.
Nice. Okay, that's actually great.
But that's not Disney.
Yeah, that is not. Yeah, that would.
I don't know. Come back to me.
Okay, I will say I'm gonna say one of my favorites, because I'll be honest, I don't know if I can think of my favorite off the top of my head, but one of them is Robin Hood. Fucking love Robin Hood.
I do love classic.
Like I remember, especially with that last Russell Crowe one and that Jamie Foxx one they just put out. Like, that Fox is looking better by the second.
Yeah, because that movie still holds up.
Yeah.
Stop sniveling and hold still.
I and the fact that there's always different animals and it works so well, it's like, alright, like in the whole mama, wait for me, breaks my heart each time. When the little bunny's running towards the drawbridge and the sheriff of Nottingham is being just a grade A asshole. like I think that's one of the reasons I love that movie so much, is because Sheriff of Nottingham just doesn't give a shit. Like, these people are starving. He's like, oh man, time to get your taxes. Oh, sucks to be poor, doesn't it? Like he's such a prick. I remember as a kid, I was 4 the first time I saw that. That was the second Disney movie I ever saw. First one's Beauty and the Beast. And I remember just watching, going like, wolves are stupid. Why is he so mean?
I hate wolves.
Yeah, I can't. So Robin Hood for me. Allie.
So I have 2.
Which are?
I would always say the Aristocats.
It's a great one. That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I love cats and I love jazz. But the only problem, speaking of Scatman Crothers, because he is the voice of Scat Cat, the only problem is that it is also in the 60s Disney, when they would make all the Siamese cats extremely racist.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard to watch.
Yeah.
The second one is Emperor's New Groove.
I love Emperor's New Groove.
I like memorized that movie, and when my mom was getting stitches once, because she was in a lot of pain, I was just like reciting the movie as a 10-year-old. Like, but I love that movie. Like, I think it's underrated. It makes me like cry laughter. It's so good.
I agree. That's probably the most likable David Spade's ever been. You know what I mean? Like,
they just couldn't show his face. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. The whole llama face thing just makes me laugh every time. And the fucking squirrel that pops a balloon, and when he goes ha, and then all the jaguars.
The jaguars.
I was like, that scene always kills me. I fucking love that scene. Aaron, sir.
It's a hard decision between two again.
Which are
Hercules.
Oh, that's a great one.
We literally have Hercules plates.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just
Is it
adore
the
you
ones
too.
from McDonald's?
Yeah, hell yeah, it is. Those are our fancy plates. When people come over, we bust the Hercules out.
There you go.
You can't let like the picture like fade, so those are special occasions.
Yes,
that's completely fair. Some of the best music they've still.
Like my favorite music out of any of the Disney movies.
That's
one
fair.
of the best villains, because James Woods is a terrible person, but he's
Yes, he
real
is.
good in that.
Yeah, he is.
I was like, that's the only thing I can give him. That and Videodrome, and that's it.
Cat's Eye, you'll like him in that too.
That's fair. And what's your second one?
Aladdin. I think I said it on the last one.
You did, yeah.
I think that was the first movie I ever saw when I was like 3 years old in theaters, and so that's always had a special place in my heart. And then huge Robin Williams fan. So
did you see the live action?
Yeah, I reviewed it.
Oh, that's right. I reviewed it. My bad. Yeah.
Did we go together, or was it just Endgame that we went together?
Just Endgame.
Endgame.
Yeah. All right, Chrissy.
Okay, so I have decided.
Which is?
And it would have to be Great Mouse Detective.
I love that.
Okay,
So Ratigan is like one of my favorite.
Well, it's based on
villains
Vincent
of all
Price.
time.
So.
Well, yes.
There you go.
That's the one I'm most excited about on that.
Doesn't
Because
Vincent
we don't own that
Ratigan?
Oh, I own it, but I don't have a DVD player, so
yeah.
It was on Netflix forever.
It was.
And yes, I'm really stoked about Disney Plus is going to have that. But I'm actually pretty sure, and I'm actually looking this up as we speak, I'm pretty sure that Vincent Price is actually the voice of Ratigan.
I feel like he is, because I feel like I'm always amazed every time. Yes, yeah.
Yes.
So I have a huge soft spot for Great Mouse Detective because I started reading Encyclopedia Brown around the same time I got into Great Mouse Detective, like it's like 6-year-old Hunter. But I remember that Ratigan song is just so fucking
Ratigan?
catchy. Yeah! It was like, it's so catchy. And then when that one drunk frog calls him a rat, and he feeds him to the cat, you're like, Jesus, okay. Like, there's like giant murder on Disney. Like, what are you gonna do? But when Ratigan ends up losing, like, that fight, in Big Ben is still one of my favorite action scenes, like, to this day. Like, people, like, someone asked me the other day, like, what's one of your favorite action scenes? And I brought that up, and they're like, you can't be serious. Like, dude, go back and watch that scene, because when Ratigan loses his clothes and gets that crazed look.
Dude, he's pretty scary.
Yeah, for a 5-year-old Hunter, I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, I was terrified. And I just watched Great Mouse Detective maybe a year ago, but yep, still holds up.
It's great.
Because I've been going through my childhood movies recently, kind of rewatching some stuff, kind of going like, all right, what holds up still? What am I like? But I don't know if this says about my maturity level, but most of the stuff I've gone back and watched and went, yep, still love it. Don't even care. The one thing I don't like that I rewatched was Drop Dead Fred. I was like, this doesn't age very well.
I've never seen it, so
yeah,
I'll take your word.
It's fine. You don't need to see it.
Okay, there you go.
Just know it's actually very stalker. It's kind of like if you go back and watch Hey Arnold now, and you realize like Helga's a giant stalker, and like.
A little worse than stalking. She would like break into his house and
they had a shrine to
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, like stole his hat out of
That's
point.
problematic.
Yeah, I mean it's very single white female, but you know what are you gonna do? So, all right, so since we went off this random,
we gave our grades 15 minutes ago.
Yeah,
we like Disney.
yeah, but you know Disney.
You came here for Stephen King and you got Disney.
Hey, you gotta.
You have to end on a light note, right?
Yeah,
that should just be the episode title. Be like, we review Dr. Sleep, but end on Disney.
there you go. So, Allie, I'm going to kick to you first to kind of give your to wrap up here, because I know you make amazing, delicious cookies and all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually getting ready to do my holiday menu too. So.
Oh yeah, so yeah, please let me know that's live. And I
was like, I brought it up before. I usually plug my baking stuff, and I will have a holiday menu coming out in the next week or so. That I will, you'll get to choose what kind of order. But I'm still working on flavors, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be pretty sweet.
Are there going to be any Christmas flavors?
Yeah, I just haven't decided what Christmas flavors, because I like certain things that other people don't. So I have to just like gingerbread is never a big seller, but I love gingerbread.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I do love gingerbread. You know what's weird is like putting the effort into making a gingerbread house. Like that's how lazy I get around Christmas. I'm just like, how do you want it to look?
I would just eat it. Let's be honest. I just eat it while I was making it. I was like, oh, a little frosting? Okay, mine now. And I just wouldn't make it.
It's kind of like when you're making cookies and you look the spoon over and over. It's like, why are you even putting these in the oven? No,
when she makes cookies, I don't even let them get in the oven. I just eat them. I eat the dough first.
Yeah, see, that's the struggle.
Because I love raw eggs.
I just...
Gaston vibes.
Yeah. Oh,
back to Disney.
Next time, whenever they reboot Beauty and the Beast again, like 5 years, you should definitely be Gaston. Aaron, I fully support you being Gaston. But where can they find out on Instagram?
Oh yeah, sorry. The Instagram is Bonbon-Cure, which is BONBONCUIRE, because it's a cool French word.
So bougie. And then I don't think we have anything horror really coming out. Oh, actually, we have Black Christmas coming out, which I'll see because it's Blumhouse, and I like their shit, so I'll go see it.
Yeah, I don't think there is anything else.
I think that's the one thing I'm missing a trailer for was Black Christmas. Now, I will say too, I'm a little upset because the poster is really dumb because it has these girls on the front of it. It says like Slay Queen. I'm like, guys. I'm like,
this is also the second time they've remade Black Christmas.
Oh, that's right. They did with Michelle Trachtenberg, right?
Yeah, back in the
Harriet the Spy.
Early 2000s, right?
Yeah,
because
Black Christmas is originally from the 70s. So yeah.
Okay, that's is that in the same vein as something like Sorority?
Yeah, it's basically
it's almost the same thing.
Okay, then cool. Like I said, it's Blumhouse. I'll go see it. I mean,
they just own the rights to every horror movie.
It seems like it. Actually, I did see the Invisible Man trailer, and that actually does. And I do love Elizabeth Moss, so I'll go see that.
She's a great actress.
She is, and I will say the whole concept of someone stalking you going insane, like not even going insane, but
just like you can't see the other person. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say too, it's a very. Like that's a very the metaphor is not hard to connect there from being a woman being harassed by someone who's not actually there with you. Like it's a very I read a trailer review about it. Someone was like, I don't know why someone would make this. I'm like, dude, come on. I'm like, can you not connect the dot that's right there in front of you? Like.
It's very true. It's like
come on.
It's 2019. Have you not been paying attention at all?
Yeah. Have you picked up anything?
Yeah, exactly. Have you looked at a phone?
Yeah, dude, right. But so I don't know when that comes out, but I'll go see that. I'm like, Aaron, maybe I'll be like, hey, Aaron, I'm gonna go see this.
Have fun.
We are technically getting New Mutants in the next 2 months.
Are we?
Yeah, New Mutants comes out in January now.
When did they stop shooting that? That was like 20...
Oh, no, that movie was supposed to come out like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I know they reshot a ton of stuff for it.
Yeah.
Disney did when they bought Fox, so there might be something connecting it to the MCU, but I doubt it.
Yeah, it was... the first trailer was released in 2017.
Holy crap. Oh my god. Oh god.
It might work out, though, because they did a bunch of reshoots for Rogue One.
Yeah, that's true.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like 8 or 9 months of reshoots.
That's intense. Okay. Well, I love Rogue One, so who knows? Maybe. But
we were all just like lights turned off.
Yeah, my TV just randomly went off. That's why. That's why everyone was like, but I digress. But guys, thank you so much for listening. You can go ahead and like us on Facebook at The Real Pineapple. Subscribe to us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher Radio. Whoo, that's all of them at The Real Pineapple. And we will have reviews up this upcoming week for I'm going to see the Twilight Zone 60th anniversary celebration, which I am hyped for. If you've listened to the podcast, you know I love the Twilight Zone. It's my favorite show of all time. The reboot's pretty good too. I'll have a review up for that at some point. But I'll review up for that this weekend for the Twilight Zone thing I go to. We'll have a review up for something I'm not excited for, which is Charlie's Angels. God help me.
I love the ones from the early 2000s.
So I like the first one. I think the second
Tim
one
Curry's
is Tim Curry's best role. I don't care what anyone says. It is not Clue. It is not Rocky Horror. It is Muppet Treasure Island, and I understand.
Okay, I actually have a story about that, which is very bad because I know you're trying to.
No, go, please.
When I was a 9-10-year-old boy, I was traveling on vacation with my parents, and we went to Napa Valley because they love wine, and they had we're in a hotel in Napa, and my mom's like, come with me, we're going to go get breakfast. And I was like, okay. So we start walking down there, and I see this dude wearing all leather. Literally, leather jacket, leather shirt, and leather pants. And I was like, why does he look so familiar? Turns out it was Tim Curry.
Oh, shit!
And so I'm a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid, so I haven't seen Clue. I haven't seen Rocky Horror Picture. The only thing I've seen from him is Muppet Treasure Island. Yes. And I was like, oh my God. And my mom's like, you want to go say hi? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And he's like, oh, nice to meet you. As I dropped over here.
Aaron just knocked over his beer can. Don't mind us.
And my mom was like, you want to go say hi? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. I love him in Muppet Treasure Island. So I walk up and I was like, you're my favorite in Muppet Treasure Island. To Tim Curry. Yes! Not knowing who he was.
Oh,
other than that.
God, yes.
I think that he was probably like, this is the best day of my life. Somebody didn't be like, oh, I love you, you're Frankenfurter. It was some 9-year-old that was just like, I loved Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh my God, that makes me so incredibly happy. Was he... He was nice. Please.
Yeah, he was great. He was great.
He's
he was awesome.
one of the nicest celebrities. I've never heard anybody say anything.
We didn't ask him to sign anything or anything like that, and my mom didn't even really say anything. I just said that, and he walked by and he's like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and left.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that warms my heart. One of my favorite actors ever, by the way, in Tim Curry. Just so much respect for that man. That makes me so happy that he was nice.
Yeah.
My heart just got warm. Now I'm feeling. Where was I? Wait, subscribe. Tell people subscribe. Yeah, I think we're good. I think that's it. I think I got nothing else. But and I'll review up for this movie, The Fanatic, which God help me, I just. Why is John Travolta?
Fred Durst has a future in cinema, huh?
Does he? I pray he doesn't. He actually directed that terrible Ice Cube movie, The Long Shots.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that kids movie, and I didn't know that until I looked it up on IMDb, and I was like, oh,
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and it just makes me. So okay, the last thing I'll say before we wrap up, I swear, one of the worst covers of anything I've ever heard is that cover of Behind Blue Eyes that Limp Bizkit did.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that shit?
Yeah, I do.
I remember I saw that video. I was like, and I liked Limp Bizkit. And I was like, ugh. I was like, how do you fuck this up so bad? I remember they were going to be here in Reno, and 13-year-old me was like, oh, Limp Bizkit in Reno? Hell yeah. Tickets were $60. I'm like, kiss my ass. I am not paying you guys $60. And that was standing. An actual seat was $95. I'm like, no, I'm not paying.
Who does he think he is?
Right? I was like, I would pay. I paid $20 to see Flowbot. So I was like, oh, that was well worth my money. But $95 to see Limp Bizkit, and this is 3 years ago. This is not 2005 Limp Bizkit when they were, quote, right. Good.
Yeah.
And I use that term very subjectively. But yeah, if you haven't seen The Fanatic, it was just dope. I've sat through the pain for you guys, so don't worry. I'll give you guys a review on that. But it's worse than Love Witch, I'm just saying. But
I don't know how that's possible.
It is. But guys, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you guys. You're wonderful. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Take care.